Okay, so guys, you're able to see my screen?
Yes, yes, Avik.
Yeah, okay. 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 So I think in previous lecture you guys are already gone through the OData session, right? So which all services you guys are created? Did you guys get a chance to create a OData service?
Avik, actually, we don't get the. Actually, I have not get the access. I don't know about the others, but
Okay,
I didn't
okay.
get.
So for getting the access, please ping Rahul. Okay, please ping Rahul as of now, so he will help you.
Okay.
Okay, so if anyone is remaining, if anyone doesn't have any SAP access, so you guys can contact Rahul, so he will help you. Okay, so guys, what I will do, I'll share my screen, and so I have one notepad file which Sumit shared with me. So the number of services he created for the employee. So basically that was completely done on the employee details, right? Do you guys remember this, or how it is? So I have shared one. Sorry, you can see one notepad file. You're able to see the notepad file which is open now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the service which Sumit has created. So ZEO underscore employee underscore REG01 underscore SRV. Okay. So this is the service which Sumit has created. So we will definitely consume the same service, and we will try to fetch all the data which is available. Okay. So based on that, so he also shared me some number of tables that he created, that is ZEMP master, ZEMP files, and ZEMP work history. Okay. So in which the ZEMP files and EMP work history are which the expanded entities that he has created on the top of ZEMP master. So our main service is ZEMP, and after that, based on that, if I want to call the expanded entity, so I can do with the help of this expand key. Okay. So now before I do this thing, so let me explain you what is OData model. Okay. So I'll open this notepad only. I'll create new one. Okay. So what can be the OData model? Um, if anyone has to share, do you guys want to share any inputs in this OData model? What is the OData model generally? So you guys are already aware of OData thing, but what can be the OData model?
Avik, OData model is a server-side model, like it can consume the data from server applications, right?
Right, exactly right.
So, and we can we requested like such operations like sorting and filtering done on the server.
Mm-hmm. 1 minute, guys. 1 minute. Okay, I think some people are facing some issues. Maybe they have connected some wrong link. Okay. So yes, tell me, Srinivas, right?
Yes, yes, Avik.
Yeah, Srinivas, tell me once again.
Yeah, Avik, OData model is nothing but it's a server-side model, meaning that we can set up
Okay.
operation visible to requested data like sorting, filtering done in server level.
Right, right, right. So what if I don't use the OData model in UI5? So is there any other way that I can call the service or I can read the service?
So we can use and different models also, not only OData model. So JSON model also is there.
Okay,
So
but
we can
JSON
consume
model
we can
generally.
consume the data from especially backend system, let's say, and
Mhm.
EC system. So we need to connect with OData model.
Right, right. So generally, why we generally use the OData model in UI5? Because OData model is a client-side model. Sorry, it's not a client-side model. It's a completely a server-side model. Okay. So what about the rest model like JSON model and all? JSON model are completely that are working with the client side. Okay, that are completely available on the client. So the models like JSON that are not supported to communicate with the server in order to read the service, or if you want to read the data, so JSON model definitely it's not supported. So in case of OData model, so that's why the SAP has implemented this OData model in UI5, and with the help of this OData model, we can simply call this OData model is completely it's work parallelly with the SAP system, and whichever the services we call like read, create, or anything. If you want to do a read or create, if you want to perform such kind of operation, so OData model, it is a model which help us, which provides a number of methods. So with the help of that methods, we can easily manipulate the data. Okay, so that's why we use the OData model. So generally in application, let's say I have created one application for reading the employee data. So whichever the data I'm seeing, so that is only available on the client, right? So I don't know rest of the data. So for that, we generally use the OData model. Okay. So what OData model does? It communicates with your server, with your SAP system. Okay. But in case of JSON model, it will, because JSON model doesn't support the SAP system, means it is completely not supported to the server side. So that's why it is called as a client side. But in case of OData model, it supports the backend call. Okay, it supports the SAP system. So that's why any call you do, for that OData model provides number of methods. Okay, so with the help of that methods, OData model, with the help of OData model, you can do, or if you want to perform any kind of operations on the data, so that you can do with the help of methods. Okay, so that's why. So in OData model, SAP provides, as of now, SAP provides two type of OData models. One was based on the version 2, and there is also version V4. So there is a V2, V4, and one is a normal OData model. Okay, so likewise we have the three OData models as of now, but as of now only SAP supports OData version V2. Okay, so there is only the model, like I'll write it down. Okay, so this is one kind of model. So this version of model is already deprecated now. So as of now, so we have to prefer the version V2 and V4. So V4 is also not, because as OData only supports V2. So that's why we will only prefer the V2 version. So I'll write down UI model dot OData dot V2 dot OData model. Okay, so let me open the SDK so that you guys can know. Okay, I'll open and I'll search for OData model here. Okay, so when I search for the OData model, you can see there we already have V2 and V4. Okay, so V4 we will not see the V4 because it's, as of now, it's not supported that much. So we will completely focus on the V2 model. Okay, so there is only some slight difference with some form of features that both this model provides. Okay, When I search for this OData model, you can see this is the class we have, SAP UI model OData v2 dot OData model. Okay, so if you want to define if you want to instantiate the OData model, so this is generally the class you have to define as a constructor, okay, by following new keyword, and after that SAP UI model OData dot v2 dot OData model. Okay, so now inside that it generally takes two parameters. One is the service call. Okay, so this is the service for which you have already created the service in the gateway, right? So whichever the service you create, you just have to define the service path. Okay, and after that we have the M parameters. So M parameter is generally if you want to provide any annotations, or we will generally not use this thing. Okay, so you can just ignore it as of now. Okay, so now we in this class we will generally use v2.odata model, and specific to this model only we will perform all the CRUD operations. Okay, so now what I will do, so there is also there are different OData models which are available. Let me open one more type. I think it's not there here. Okay, so now if I want to read the service, so before that what all things I have to do? Anyone has any idea about this? So what I have to do? How can I integrate? How can I connect SAP system? Yes.
Yeah. So actually, the routing model actually the part is not done actually. So we can do through routing actually. Route means you have to load the OData and you can consume in that in our UI5.
Sorry, I didn't get your question. It's a question or you want to suggest?
No, but I'm saying that routing is not done actually. The routing part, no?
Routing.
Routing, yeah, routing.
Yeah, routing part is not done. Yeah, it's okay. Routing part we will consider tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow we'll see the routing and navigation part, and in that I'll explain you the how to pass the data from first view to second view. Okay. So don't worry on that part.
Regarding this, regarding your question, I suppose we need to declare that OData part in manifest.json.
Right. Yes, we generally declare the OData path in manifest.json only. So before that, we need to follow some steps. So based on that, automatically that path will be defined. So only some tweaks we need to do. But as of now, we are using this WebID personal edition. Okay. But I think Gayatri, you are already using the WebID full stack.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that it's very easy, so you can directly integrate the service and you don't have to do any changes in the manifest.json. Automatically all the code would be reflected. But in case of WebID personal edition, we have to add some line of codes. So we can, after that we can use the OData model throughout the application. Okay. So what I will do, so let's say I'll create one new project, and so with the help of this project only, in the coming session we will try to deploy this current application to the Fiori Launchpad. Okay, so we'll make sure that whichever the application we create, so that must be compatible with our UI5 systems, sorry, our Fiori Launchpad. So what I will do, I'll create a new project. Okay, so new project from template. I'll select a UI5 only and click on next. Project name I'll give as a ZEMP underscore CRUD. Okay, so this is the name which I'm giving for my project, and after that I'll give the namespace as com.emp. Okay, so I'll click next. Okay, so now in the view I'll add it as a app. I'll next and I'll finish. Okay, so now this is the project I have created. So now first thing what I have to do, if I want to consume any OData service into this application, so what all things I have to do? So for that, I have to integrate the OData service, right, into this EMP. So first thing, just give me a minute, 1 minute. Okay. Okay. So which services you have created, guys? I think the Sumit created this one, this service. ZEO underscore employee underscore reg01 underscore SRV. Okay, so now what I will do, I will try to integrate this service into the SAP application, into our UI5 application. So for that, how we generally do in a Web ID personal edition. So I'll open the folder. You're able to see my screen, right, guys? Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
So now, which folder you are seeing?
SAP GUI 7.6
Setups.
setups.
Okay, setups, right. So inside the setup, so I think you guys have already, so this is the RAR file, right, which we have just, what we have done, we have just extracted this file, right, this one, web ID 1.53.9, okay. So now this is the folder, right, and inside that we have Eclipse. So inside that we have to find out this first folder, config underscore master. And inside config.master we have service.destination. Okay, and inside the destination you can see one more folder as a destination, and inside the destination what we have to do, we have to include this file. Okay, so generally it is a configuration of destination file that we need to create. Okay, so generally what file it is having, so I'll make it as editable. So you can see this is just a description of the system, that it is a S20 system and type HTTP. Authentication is basic authentication, and then we have used username and the password, and after that the name of system and everything. So generally we maintain all the each and every things or the information which is required in order to consume, if you want to integrate the system, if you want to consume the OData service from this system, from this S20 system. So that's why I will share all these files with you. Okay, guys. So I'll share this file. Okay, what I will do. Okay, so now this file is I have saved this file under the folder config master, and inside that service destination, and inside that we have destination. Okay, so inside the destination folder I have saved this S20 file. Okay, so once I have done, so what I will do, so now this is the project I have created, right? So generally we do this thing in the Web ID personal edition, okay? But in case of Web ID full stack and all, we have to create a separate destination in the SAP Cloud Platform, okay? So that's how we generally do. So I'll in one session I'll show you that how to create a destination in the SAP Cloud Platform. But as of now, this session is completely oriented to the Web ID personal edition, so that's why I'm showing you the how we have created the S20. It's a general configuration file for the destination. Okay, so now if I want to integrate the OData service into this UI5 application, so what I will do, I'll select this folder name ZEMP_CRUD, and I will right click on this folder name. So I'll click on the new, and after that you can see one OData service option. Okay, so when I select this OData service option, so I can see the number of options: service catalog, workspace, file, system, and service URL. Okay, so there are two ways to integrate the service. Either I can select the service URL, or either I can select the service catalog. Okay, it depends on you how you want to consume the data. Okay, so now I will generally use the service catalog. Okay, so once I select the service catalog, on the right hand side you can see the drop down of systems. So whichever the destination file you will maintain in that folder, in this destination folder, so that all destination files or that all systems will get reflected. Okay, will get reflected in below this drop down. Okay, so once I click on this drop down, I can see the S20. Okay, so this is only the SAP system and the configuration which I have maintained inside the destination folder. So that's why I'm able to see only one destination. So this is the system. Okay, generally S20 it is a system, SAP system that we will generally consume in our application. So I will select this S20. So as soon as I select S20, you can see all the services which are created on that S20 that are all available. Okay. So now I have to search for this service. Okay, ZEE0 underscore employee underscore REG01 underscore SRV. I'll copy this. I'll go back and in the service I'll paste it here. Okay, so once I paste, I can see I'm able to find out the service. Okay, so this is the service that we have created on the gateway server. Okay, so it is from the system S20. So I'll select this system, and once I done, I have to select this compulsory. Okay, then only I'll click on next. Okay, once I done, I have to just click. I don't have to do anything. Okay, don't do anything, just avoid it, and after that just click on the finish. Okay, so once you're done with that, you just have to open the manifest.json file. Okay, and inside the manifest.json file, same like how we have created a JSON model inside the manifest.json, in same way under the data source I can see one service name. Okay, so this is the service which is been we have consumed in our UI5 application, and it is from the URI. So this is the path of this service URL. Okay, and after that, what type of it is? It is of OData type. So that's why type, inside the type, automatically this OData is maintained. You don't have to do anything. When you integrate any OData service in the application, automatically this the properties and all the structures will be created under the data source. Okay, and after that, inside the settings object, what type of version OData we are using? We are using the OData version 2.0. Okay, so that's why in application also we will generally use the OData of model version v2. Okay, so then your local URI. So this is generally the local service metadata. So we'll see the metadata, okay, in a minute. And after that, so this is the data source. So what will happen? So OData, it is a model, right? So as of now we have just defined the path and what type of service it is. So that's only it is maintained. But if I want to create a model for this, I have to define the model under the model sections. Okay, so generally how we have done for the JSON model. Okay, in the same manner we have to do the same thing for the OData also. So we have to create a OData model. So as of now only the configuration is maintained, the service path and the service name is defined. Okay, so because this is the service that we have integrated inside this application, now I have to create a model for this. Okay, so under the model section, so we have I18. Okay, so this I18 is nothing but it is a model name. Okay, so same like I18, I have to maintain for the OData also. Okay, so what I will do, so I will make this OData model as a default model. So that's why I will not give any name. So I will keep it as a blank string. Okay, then I will define the opening and closing brackets. And inside that, what type of model I have to define? I have to define the model of type UI5, the OData model, right? So I'll expand this model. Okay, I'll type OData. So I will generally use the OData model version v2. Okay, so this is our OData model. So I'll copy this. Okay, and inside the type, I'll mention that it is of type version v2. Okay, because whichever the service which we have integrated, it already supports, it is of version OData version 2.0. So that's why I will use the model of type v2. Okay, that's why I'm using the OData model of version v2. Okay, so after the type, I'll give comma, and then I will write data source. Okay, so for this model, from where the data is coming, which is the data source for it? This one, right? This is the data source.
Service name.
Yes, sorry, it's a service name, right? Okay, so now I have done. Okay, so what I've done, I've integrated the service under the data source section. So this will be created when you integrate any service with the help of new OData service. And after that, you have to define the model type. So So whichever the service it is of type like version v2, so make sure that you use the same OData model, okay, of version v2, and just define the data source. Okay, so now, so what I've done, I've defined this model as a default model. Okay, so anyone has any questions so far?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, hi, this is Prem here.
Yes.
From where you have added that OData services? You have created new project on the here right side.
Okay, so what I've done, I've created this new project. Okay, same like we generally do in the web ID. Okay, so once the project is created, after that, once this is defined, your project structure is defined, after that just select your project, and after that right click on the project name. Okay, so there is a new option, select the new, and after that inside the new you have to choose the option OData service. Okay, so this is the option we have to choose. So once you select, there are the 4 options: service catalog, workspace, file system, and the service URL. So for integrating the OData service, we generally prefer service catalog and service URL. Okay, so I definitely choose service catalog only. It's a better option to choose every time. Okay, so after selecting the service catalog, and on the right hand side you have to select your system, whichever the SAP system. If you already create a configuration file in the destination folder, so that all will get reflected in this drop down. So as of now I have maintained only one file, so that's why I'm able to see only one SAP system, so that is S20. Okay, so once you select, you just have to enter your service name, so that service name will appear here, and just select and just click on next. Okay, is this fine?
Okay, yes, I have a question here.
Yes.
So this is, this is our learning platform, right? Suppose I am doing in the real time, then how, which in these 4 options, which option I need to select, or there is some different way to do that?
No. For in real time also, you generally you have to select the service from service catalog only. Okay. So from whichever the service you are going to integrate, make sure that you select that system, particular system, and after that, from that system only you will get all the service will appear. Yeah. Okay, but as of now we are using the web ID personal edition, so manually we have to maintain the service file, right? The configuration file.
So I got that, and just asking in the real time about it.
No, in real time also.
So this part is done by the basis, right? Because they know the system name and everything. So they.
No. This is not part of the basis. It's our duty only. As a UI.
No, actually, maybe I can tell you. You can actually select service catalog, and here you will see the development, the quality client, and also the production client.
Yeah.
Right.
You can see everything.
Okay.
Okay. So now, so as soon as you select the system, just enter your service name, select, and just click on next. Okay, and just do the finish. So automatically that service will get integrated. Okay. So once this is done, so I've defined this OData model as a default model. So I don't have to call any model name. I don't have to call the model with the help of model name. As it is a default, I can directly call it. Okay. So now this service integration is done to this application. Now how to read the data? Okay. So for reading the data, this is my XML file. Okay. So okay, without doing anything, I'll directly run this file. Okay, so I'll click on inspect, I'll open the network tab, and I'll again reload. Okay, so once I reload, I'll check for $1 metadata. Okay, so make sure that whenever you integrate any OData service, so for that service the metadata is getting properly loaded. Okay, so that you guys have to check. Okay, so once, because if OData is getting properly, means if OData is called properly, and if the metadata is also fetched properly, then it means that the data is getting properly reflected. Okay, so there is no any issue in the OData service. Okay, or in the SAP system, it's working fine. Then whatever the things you have to do, it's from your end. Okay, so now you can see for each which all the services you have created for that service. You can find out all
One second, David. In order to find if the service is working correctly or not, you can do it in SEGW, right?
No, that also you can do, but in case if some services are not working, okay, if services are not working in the UI5, so that you can check with the help of dollar metadata. Means this will help you to identify whether we have properly integrated the service or not in the manifest.json. Okay.
Okay. So you mean what would be the fault case?
Fault case might be you can get one error like the metadata is failed.
Okay.
Okay, so generally rather than 304 you can get error type of like 502 or 500, some server kind of error you will get.
Okay.
So that means the service is not properly integrated, or maybe it's maybe issue with the SAP system. So that you can check. Okay. So now this dollar metadata, whenever you integrate any service, so based on that one dollar metadata will be loaded in the network tab. You can find out, and based on that what all the entity types or the entity sets you have created in the for your OData service, that all will get reflected. Okay. So if I want to run this service, what I will do, I've selected the dollar metadata, and inside the header section I'll copy this. Okay, I'll copy till dollar metadata, and in the new tab I'll paste and I'll hit on enter. So I can see all the metadata for that particular service. So like which all fields are there in the detail set. So that all fields I can definitely utilize if I want to get to know which all fields are available now. Okay. So generally, if you want to integrate, if you want to read the service, you will not prefer entity type. We will always prefer entity sets. Okay. So this all entity sets which are created inside that OData service. So with the help of this entity sets only we can able to read the data. You cannot read the data by using entity type. Always we have to prefer entity sets. Okay. So now we will read the detail set, work history set, and the file set. Okay. So now if I want to read the data from the detail set, so this is the detail set. I'll make sure whether I'm getting the data or not from this from the browser. I'll check. So instead of dollar metadata, after the service name, I'll directly paste the entity set name and I'll hit enter. So once I hit enter, I can see the data is coming properly, right, from the service. So that means the service is working fine. So now what I have to do, if anything is wrong with our UI5 app, and if you are not able to see the data properly on the front end, it means that each and every issue is related to the UI5 app. It's not from the service side. It's not from the server side. It's completely from the UI side. So I have already checked that service is working properly in the browser. So I'm able to get the data which all present in that service. Okay. So now what I will do, if I want to integrate, if I want to read the data from the detail set, so that you can do in the two types, in the two ways. Okay. So I'll create one list. Okay, I'll create one list, and inside the list I'll use the custom list item. Okay, so this time I'm using the custom list item, and I'll use the H box. Okay, and the H box. So inside that, okay, so for the left hand side, so what all details I will display? I'll display the name, okay, F name and L name, and after that on right hand side I'll display email ID. Okay, so that all we will do now. So maybe I'll use text equal to, rather than text I'll use label only. Label design equal to hold. Okay, so same, and I'll add one more property, justify content as space between. Okay, so you with the help of this with the help of this space between property, I can directly place the content on the left hand side and on the right hand side. So in middle it will put the space. Okay, so I'll copy same thing. So why I've used the edge box? Because edge box will help me to place the two controls on the same line. Okay, so now so make sure that the space between will work only between the two controls, not if I'm placing one more control, so it will not work. Okay, so now the generic structure I have created. Now what I have to do, I have to call the data, right? I have to call the service detail set. So now till here already the path is already available inside the Odata inside the manifest.json file. Okay, so till here the model is already defined. Now with the help of the model I have to directly call the detail set. Okay, I don't have to define every time this Odata service, because this is once it is defined in the manifest.json, so it is globally available throughout the application. So if afterwards if I want to call any service, I have to directly call the entity sets, not the service URL. Okay, so now what I will do, so generally to call the service, that are done in the two ways. Either we can call the method like read, okay, read and all, and if I want to directly call the service in the XML, I can directly define the entity set here in this list, and that will be called automatically. Okay, so now let me tell you, I'll open this manifest.json file. So as this URI is already defined, okay, so and for that this model is already defined. So with the help of this Odata model, as it is a default model, I can directly, with the help of this Odata model, it will help me to read the data from this detail set. Okay, so how to call the data? I'll go back to this app.view.xml. Inside the items aggregation, so what I have to do, I have to directly write slash, and I have to directly copy this detail set and I'll paste it here. Okay, okay, so after doing this, so I'm not defining any model name because for the Odata model it's a default model, right? We haven't defined any Odata model name, so that's why I'm not defining any model name. I can directly give slash and detail set, that's it. Okay, so once, so by default, sorry, anyone wants to say anything? Hello? Okay, okay, so now, so for calling the service inside this standard binding syntax, I am giving the slash and after that the entity set name. Okay, so now inside this detail set, as the model name is not there, I can directly bind this data. Okay, so I'll copy this f name. Okay, so this is f name, I'll give some space and again I'll copy l name. Okay, so this is done, and now in the end I'll copy the email ID. Okay, make sure that whichever the property name you define, whichever the property name you declare inside this XML, it should be a case sensitive. Okay, if you're displaying this as, if you're defining this f name as a small f and name, so it will not work. So your property names are case sensitive. Okay, so now I'll save. Okay, so now I'll clear this and I'll reload. Okay, so once I'm done, I can see automatically his data is getting fetched from the Odata model. Okay, so in the network call, you can say one $batch. This $batch means the call is done, and what type of call it is done? It is of call get. Okay, on top you can see get, and then we have detail set slash $count. So automatically when you do the when you're calling the service with the help of like this from the XML, so automatically one call will be done. Okay, otherwise if you're not declaring this $set, so manually we have to write the code inside the controller file. And what method we have to call on the Odata model? So we have to call read method. Okay, so read is a method we have. So with the help of this read method, we can call the service, And once the data we get, so we have to store it in the JSON model, and then we can bind the data to the list. Okay, that's how we generally do. Okay, so now I'll change this file name also. I'll change the title as employee details. Okay, so I'll open this XML file. Okay, so I'll add the I'll add the class to this list. Okay, and I'll add one more class here. Okay, so now I'm saving it. Okay, so now the list is getting loaded properly. Okay, I'll remove. Okay, so now what I've done, I've read the data from this detail set, and how that I've done, I've directly defined because as we have used the OData model version v2, so that model will help me to fetch the data from the SAP system. Okay, so that's why I've directly defined the entity set name. You don't have to define all the path like this, because this path is already available inside the manifest.json. You have to directly define the entity set name. Okay, so once you define the $entity set name, and after that just declare the property name inside this label, so automatically based on that, so this how many the data or the records are already available inside this detail set, that all the data will get pulled. Okay, so if what will happen if the data is more, so for that also we have to set one threshold property. So let's say on this current view, I just want to display the 10 or 15 records. So you can add one property as a threshold. So once you define the threshold property, only that number of items would get visible. Okay, so automatically one a button will appear in the bottom as a more. So once you click on the more, so again one OData call will be done to fetch the remaining records. So you don't have to do anything. So automatically this OData model will handle these things. Okay, so that can be handled from the XML itself. But in case of the read, suppose from the controller, if you are reading the data, so you can read all the data. So generally for the small data sets, like if the records are less than 2000 or 3000, that should be fine. But if the data is more than 5000 or 10,000, you generally have to prefer the Fury elements, the CDS views. Okay, we can create a CDS views and we can fetch the data, because it's a completely a different concept. But for the small data sets, you can generally use this OData model. Okay, so anyone has any questions till now for this, how we have read the data from the detail set?
Fine, Avi.
Yeah. Okay, so now what I've done, so I've read this service, the detail set, and inside that we have binded fname, lname, and the email ID. Okay, so email ID is appearing on the right hand side. 1 minute guys, I'll remove this class. It's not looking good at all. You want me to use some different control rather than list? Should I use some table control? So that
yes, Avi. Use the table control.
yes, so I'll comment this code. You guys can go through this. It will act as a reference. Okay, I'll create one different controller table. Okay, so for table also there are two types of table. One is a UI table and one is a mobile table, a mobile specific table as a M table. So I'll create Or I can, what I will do, I will go to this samples, I'll write table, search for responsive table. So responsive table is nothing but our M table. Okay, so this is the table. I'll copy the code from here. Okay, this entire code I'll copy. Okay, now okay, so this is the column. So first column will define as the EMP ID. The next column name we define as a employee name, and then gender, email ID, and in the last we can give as a actions. Okay, if we want to edit or we will add some columns. Okay, so I'll copy. So this is our EMP ID field. EMP ID, F name, L name, full name can be displayed. After that, gender. Okay, for the gender, this is the field. After gender, what we have? Email ID. Copy, I'll paste it here. Email ID, and at the last, we'll use one edge box. Okay, that's fine. I will not define anything. I'll run this now. Okay, so I have to define items also here. I'll save. I'll reload. Okay, so now the data is appearing properly for the employee ID, employee name, gender, and the email ID. Okay, so I think for the name there is a lot of space which is not required. Okay, so now employee ID, employee name, gender, and email ID. Okay, so that's everything is done now. So now I'll add some actions button here. So I will add two action button. So one is for edit and one is for delete. Okay, so I'll add two buttons. Button as an icon. Okay, handle edit, handle delete. Okay, so I'll get some icons for edit and delete from this SAP Icons Explorer. Okay, so this is the edit. I'll copy and I'll paste it in icon. Same I'll do it for delete. Okay, so this is the delete. Okay, Okay, I'll reload now. So now I'm able to see the two buttons. One is for edit and but I'll add some space between them. So maybe I'll add one class. Okay. So now I have two buttons, edit and one is for delete. Now what I have to do, once I click on the edit or once I click on the delete, this particular record can be deleted, right, from the system. So automatically one call will be done for deleting this record. Okay, so before I do anything, so guys, please open your application and try to integrate this service first. Okay, so I'm giving you guys 15 minutes. So in 15 minutes, please try to integrate this service, and after that, once you're done, declare the model.
But Avik, can you share the destination path?
Yes, I'll share. Maybe what I will do, I already have the Dropbox. In Dropbox, it's already there. Okay, so I've shared the link. Can you guys please try to download it? Okay, just let me know if you guys are able to download it or not.
Avik, what is it that we have to download? I missed it.
S20, the file I've shared one file.
Yeah.
But I think, Gayatri, have you configured the Web ID personal edition on your laptop?
No.
So how you are going to do?
That's what I have to create. What Sumit has done. I have to create those tables, set tables, and then do all that.
Maybe you can consume the same service if you want to. You can utilize the same service, but
in order to utilize the service, I need to create the tables, right?
No, I think for this service already the Sumit has created the tables. You don't have to do anything. So you can directly consume this service if you want.
But I don't use your system, so I have to create it in my own system.
Okay then, yeah.
That will take time. I have to take this week and then I can do it. But yeah, I'll follow the session, no problem.
Okay.
But Avik, one more question. Because I don't have a credential, so I cannot consume the it will give a right because I don't have a system. Because until unless I have a system of yours, that cannot be done, right?
Right. No, but I think it should happen for you, Mahesh. You can consume it.
Okay, but it will not give an error, right? Because though I don't have
it will not give you an error because already the inside that file the already all the configuration is done, so it will not give you an error. You can try it now. Please try it now and just let me know if you are facing any issue. Okay.
Okay.
Can you just show me this screen, service screen? ZEMP underscore grid. That tab. No, the other tab. Where you have displayed the table, right? So you have put actions. I just want to see the screen. How does it look outside the display? Okay, but you haven't written any code for this, right? Like for on edit and delete, handle edit and handle delete. Have you written the code for that? I can't hear you, Avik.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah, that's okay. No, I'm just saying you haven't written the code in the controller, right? For handle edit and handle delete.
Yes, not yet, because I
Yeah.
thought of first you create a one dummy structure of table and just try to utilize the service with the help of that configuration file. So once that is done, we'll move forward to this edit and deletion part.
Yeah, okay. Can you just show me the view?
Have you sent that file, that configuration file, not yet, right? Hello?
Sorry, Mahesh, what?
That configuration file, have you seen on the email?
Yes. Configuration file I've already shared on the WhatsApp group. You guys can download it.
Okay. Thank you.
That link is already there. I've shared the link, so just click on that link. It's a Dropbox link,
Okay.
Dropbox, and you can download it from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Avik? Avik?
Hello?
Yeah. Can you also add another icon which will actually append another record?
Okay, means if you want, means for adding the records, right?
Yeah.
That we will add it as a separate, because we should never add any add icon here in the same column. We can add it on the top. It should be a separate one.
Okay. Can we do that, please?
Yeah, okay, wait.
Now, what do you suggest? Actually, if you have some requirement wherein you need to actually append another row, then
Yes.
is it that you would be preferring to add it in the service? I mean, changes in the service, or is it that you have to do something over here in the front end, like over here?
Like, let's say for adding the record, so what I will do first, I'll add one button, okay? So that will help me to perform the action on the add icon, right?
Correct.
So once on the add icon, whichever the code I will write, so that code will be written inside the controller file. So from that controller file, what I will do, I will accept the input from the user. So what all record he want to create, okay? So I will pass all that information to the SAP system, okay? So from the SAP system, while creation, I think for we implement some create entity set, right? In the
correct. There you have done a create entity set. For example, if you haven't created that service, I mean in the sense the create entity method, if you haven't deployed it, okay, then redefine that method. Then what would the system do?
I think let's say now if you're adding record from the front end, so means let's say that service is not created or not implemented yet in the SAP system, so definitely it will give you an error from the front end. Okay, so it will give you
cannot append the data. Okay.
Yes, we cannot append the data, but we can do one other. We have one other option, but that will be locally. Okay, so you can directly add one new record in the model and the model can be refreshed. Only that throughout that session only that record would be available, and after that once you close the application then it will not appear again. As a local point of view, yes.
So actually if you see the service, it is a class with methods, correct?
Right.
So when you have to actually append a record, you always specifically call that particular method.
Yes.
Normally in a app I'm talking about. If you want to append, then you use that create method. Only
Right.
then you can actually append it into the database. So when you are appending here, okay, in the front end, when you say append row, then it should actually go and hit the create entity set method.
Right.
Yeah. So that on append append you have to hit this. Where is it that you're going to write that? You have to hit only this method.
Okay. So that code we will be writing inside the app.controller. So this is the place.
So you mean to say that you will always define the method over here?
But, yeah.
Will
So
you
for
define
the,
it?
let's say from the backend already whatever the operations are there or the classes are there, that would be called for the creation. But what will happen in case of UI5? So for this OData model, we have some couple of methods. Okay. So already the SAP has defined some couple of methods for the OData model. So with the help of that OData model, you can call any operation if you want to. Like if you want to create, so with the help of create method of OData model, you can call the data.
Okay. But can you do that?
Guys.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
We'll do it. Then maybe I can understand. Yeah.
Avi, I didn't see any services under service catalog after adding that configuration.
Okay, so is there any error you're getting?
It is giving S20 catalog services unavailable.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, what you're giving? What you're getting?
S20 catalog service is unavailable. Please try again.
Okay, can you guys share? One of you can share the screen. So I'll give you the access.
You can share it.
1 minute.
I just send you a screenshot. You can see that in the chat.
Okay.
No, what I'm saying, because we don't have that system of yours, so we cannot access actually.
Service is unavailable. Please try again. Okay.
No, is the system access given to all?
Oh, ma'am,
No, it's a common one. So it should work.
No, I didn't get you, because until and unless you have a system access, you will not be able to access those services, right?
Yes.
No, I can't access your system access, your services, until and unless I have the access to your system.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but Gayatri, if you can see the notepad file, it is having the password and the system details. I think in the back end it will call the system with the password.
Yes.
And it
Because
will
we
be
don't have that, yeah. We don't have that, so that's why it is giving it as unavailable.
Sure. I don't think.
Just give me a minute, guys. I'll check. What is the issue?
But what is the extension of it for this file? .txt only, no?
No, it's a file only, not .txt. We just have to create a file of type file. When you check the properties, you can check it is of type file, not txt.
No, I am so sorry. I'm losing something here. Dumb question. I'm sorry for that, everyone. see, for example, Avik, I don't have your SAP car access from your company, though I have the username and the password. Until and unless I have that, I have an access to your system, to your SAP system, I wouldn't be using, it is of no use to have a username and a password, I guess, and to use your services, yes or no?
Yeah, I got it. I got your question. That as if you're not having the SAP access, system access, how you can access, right?
Correct.
So that's only you saying. So what I'm saying, so whichever the configuration file which I have shared, so it's a common one. So okay, inside that only one username and password is already mentioned. Okay, so with the help of that you can directly access. So I'm not giving any different username and password. It's a common one. So that can be utilized by anyone. So there is no restriction at all.
Okay.
It's the same for me also. Whichever the configuration file I've shared, it is same for me also. The username and password. So for that user, already the access are given. So that's why we are able to access. Okay, so
by any chance, did you log into the SAP with this password in the other session?
Yes, I've already tried to log in the SAP system. It was getting login. So maybe do one thing. Can you, Mahesh or maybe Srinivas, can you share your screen?
Yeah, I will share my screen. Can you make me as an admin?
Yeah, 1 minute. Huh? Okay, so can you check the option, Mahesh? You're able to get?
Yeah, I'm sharing. Are you able to see? Okay.
No, not yet. It's loading. Yeah, I'm able to see now.
So this is the one. So I will open it.
Okay. So problem is that, so when you downloaded it, you're able to see it as a text document, right?
Okay. No, actually I have created a file. Actually, I have copied from your this one.
No. You don't have to do that thing. That's why it's not working.
Okay. Directly I need to download and save it like this.
You directly download it and just try to save in that folder path. Then you can access.
Okay.
Copy that file. Delete this and paste. Okay, now close and now do one thing. You have to refresh this once again. I think you have to close the Orion and just call once again this command prompt.
Okay. So I will close it.
Yes, close that command prompt once, which is already opened. Yeah, in the bottom. Close this one and again call this service. Just go back. I hope Srinivas you are following these steps.
Yeah, it's working for me.
Now it's working?
Yeah.
Okay, now check for Odata service. S20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's working?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, you can stop your screen sharing, Max. Okay, so in last 5 minutes, just try to consume this service. I'll open the code of table. So just copy and make sure that you use it.
Still my screen is visible?
No, I've stopped.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so just write the code for this table now. Do it quick.
Abhi, can you go to this? What is the service name exactly? Hello.
Yeah, I think it is ZEO underscore EMP employee underscore something. Hello, Avik.
Yes.
One more dumb question. So you mean to say the file which you have shared, if I download it into my system, I can actually get the service
Yes, yes.
without me creating any of the tables, background tables, and creating the service in SEGW, nothing?
Oh, because in that system already the services are created, so you can
Correct.
consume the existing services.
But that system, do you think it will allow, I mean, because it's my company's laptop and it's a full edition, do you think it will allow to
No.
actually...
That will not allow. You have to follow some different steps. You cannot what I can say, you cannot maintain the configuration file of SAP system in your folder, because
Correct.
that
Yeah.
the web ID which you are using, it's on the cloud. Okay, so so for that you need to create a destination in your SAP cloud platform cockpit.
Yeah. Yes. So that's the reason why I was telling that I have to actually create the background tables and create the service and use it.
Right. But you can at least, because I think all the configuration files are already present on the drive. If you want to practice, you can practice it by using the web ID personal edition.
That I have to check it out. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, is it done or how it is? Should we move to the next topic? Not topic, next action. Is it done, guys? Okay, so in meanwhile, I'll add one more code for adding. We'll add one more code.
So what is that levels for in title?
It's just for a title. Means like if you want to have this header as a H1, H2, H3. These are number of the properties for the HTML generally. Basically, H1 means it would be a bigger header. H2 means a little bit small. H3 means it's smaller than H2. Likewise.
Yeah. CSS.
Yes. Okay, so I'll add icon also. Okay. Okay. So guys, you're following me, right? Hello. Is my voice audible to all of you?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now what we will do, we will try to add one more record. Okay. So now what we will do, we will add one more record into this existing service that is in the detail set. Okay. So inside the detail set, what we will do, we will add one more record. So once we add, so what should happen automatically? Again one read call should be done. Okay, and read call should be done so that what it will fetch all the latest information. Okay, so that's how it will work. So for adding the record or for adding the employee in the employee service, so I have to write some code on this button click. Okay, so once whatever the code I have written, so on that I have to call which method? I have to call create method. Okay, and with the help of create method I have to define some the service name, service path, and after that I also have to pass the data. So like let's say the employee name, gender, email ID, and each information I have to pass. So once that information is passed, after that, once all the information is passed, then that information can be pushed or that can be updated inside the table, and automatically the data must be reflected in the service. Okay, so now I'll copy this handle create. I'll go back to this app controller. Okay, so what I will do, I'll declare this method handle create. I'll write the function. Okay, so I'll write event. Okay, so I'm creating as a local object now. Okay, so you'll get to see how I will do. Okay, so which all property I have bind it. So I'll create an object of same properties. Or maybe what I will do, I'll download question format equal to JSON. Okay, 1 minute, guys. Okay, so I'll make it as a null. Okay, so I'm creating one object. After that, what I will do, I'll create a new model. So I'll write a code like this dot get view dot set model. And inside that I'll write I'll define one path here, SAP slash UI slash model slash JSON model. Okay, once this JSON model is done, to JSON, I'll give the model name as the EMP add model. Okay, so this is just employee colon. I'll pass this object. Okay, so now this JSON model EMP add model is holding the object EMP ID, FName, LName, email ID, and gender. Okay, so what I've done, I have just make sure that so these all properties are familiar with this same one. Okay, so that are all the properties are case sensitive, so that must match with the properties which I'm already having from the service. Okay, so that I don't have to do any typecasting. I can directly send this entire data as a payload while creating the new record. Okay, so now I've created this local object as a blank, and after that I've binded this. Okay, I've created the new model based on this existing object. Okay, I'll save now. So this is our app.xml file. Okay, so what I will do, when I click on the handle create, so it should open one fragment. So in that fragment we will enter all the details of employee ID, employee name, gender, and email ID. Okay, so once that all information we enter inside this a dialog box, after that I'll click on add. So once that is done, automatically our records must be added inside this service. So for doing that, so handle create is there. Okay, so I'll create one fragment file, new folder. I'll first create a fragments folder, and inside the fragment I'll create a new file, add employee dot fragment dot xml. Okay, so I'll click OK. So I'll add the fragment definition here. For okay, after that I'll add one more sap.m. After that I'll close dialog. I'll give the ID as add dialog. Okay, so this is done. So how many fields I need? So based on the properties, now let's say I have the properties like which all properties I'm having. I'm having the properties like employee ID, first name, then we have last name, and then email ID, and then gender. So these all properties I'm having. So in order to pass all the data, so I'll create that much of fields. So I'll create a VBox. Inside the content, I'll add the label text as EMP ID. Okay, then I'll add one input. So for input, I'll not do anything. So I'll copy. Okay, so this is the first name, last name, email ID, gender. Okay, so now before adding, I'll make sure that as of now the employee IDs are not auto incremented. Okay, so I'll make sure that every time whichever the employee ID user is adding, so that must be unique. So instead of user to enter the employee ID, so I'll write some logic so that automatically when I open the dialog box, so by default it should be appended with the latest employee ID. Okay, with one incremented value. So as of now highest one is 14. So I'll make sure that the next whichever the if user is adding one more employee, so that employee must be auto incremented with the 15 value. Okay, not as a 14. So for that also we'll write a code. So now I'll do the binding part. Okay, I'll copy this value and value. Okay, so now what is our model name that we have defined? emp id employee, copy here. Okay. Okay, so then after what we have the employee ID / employee ID. Okay, so I'll copy this path, I'll paste it here in the all the sections. So I'll just change the fields. So I'll copy this for the F name, same for the L name, and then for the email ID, and then for the gender. Okay, so now this binding is done. So in the footer I'll add 2 buttons, N button okay. So same I'll add it for begin button. Okay, so I'll add okay, so first I'll add code for this no, before that I'll load the fragment file first. Okay, so I'll add the code like first we need oview this dot get view, and then I'll also get the dialog. Okay, so what is the ID of our dialog? This is add. Okay, I'll save. Now I'll add the condition if not dialog, then what? Load the fragment. Okay, so first I'll pass the oview ID, and means current views ID, and then the path, and finally the current controller instance. Okay, and then I'll make sure that in order to binding to work, I'll make add dependent. Okay, so without add dependent, our add dependent dialog. Okay, and path, I'll copy this dot fragments dot employee. Okay, once all these things are done, then I'll open. Okay. Okay, so now let's save and let's reload the app once. Okay, once I click on add employee, I can see all the fields are getting displayed like employee ID, first name, last name, email ID, and gender. So to make it more beautify, I'll add the class as content padding. Okay, and I'll also define the title to this dialog box.
How do we know that we have to add these type of classes?
Yeah, it's already defined in the API reference. You can find out some number of margin classes and content padding classes like that. We'll say that in a minute. Okay, so before that we'll complete this. Okay, I'll reload. Once I click on add employee, I can see that with the help of content padding, so padding is getting applied on the 4 sides inside this dialog, and with the help of title, so the add employee title is appearing on the dialog box. Okay, so and in the footer we have defined 2 buttons, add and cancel. Okay, so once I click on cancel, then nothing should happen. Okay, so I'll add the code for closing also. Event dot resource dot get parent dot close. Okay, so now what I have to do, so I have to bind, so I've already binded whichever the model I've created into this. Okay, so now what will happen, so I'm not giving any ID. Okay, so I'm not defining any IDs to this input to this input fields. Okay, so with the help of model itself, I can directly fetch all the data from this all the fields. Okay, so once I'm able to fetch all the data, I can directly pass that data as a payload to the system, to the service call. So as a post, so what will happen, so this record will be, it will get created in the table in the SAP system. Okay, so now for adding, what all code we have added, so our dialog is getting open. Okay, so this is fine. So also I have to make sure that, so maybe what I will do, I'll move this code at the bottom. So before that I can write one logic. Okay, so every time I'll pass the updated employee ID, because I don't want to make sure, I just want to make sure that employee ID must be unique throughout all the records. Okay, it should not be a duplicate. So that thing we can just make sure. So how to write a code now? What I have to do, I have to gather all the employee IDs. So once I'm having all the employee IDs, so whichever is the max one, so I'll add one. Okay, so I'll do one addition plus 1. So automatically the employee ID must be appended with the value 15 rather than 14, because the 14 is the maximum one. So 15 will add. So this employee ID will be, this pop-up will appear with the by default 15 as a value inside the employee ID. And that we will just make sure that the employee ID must, it should not be in editable mode, because otherwise what will happen, the user will remove the employee ID and he will enter the same thing. So in order to avoid some duplicate issues, so we can directly, we will try to make it as a disabled or non-editable. Okay, so this is our fragment. So this is the employee ID's input field, right? So I'll add one more property as a editable. I'll make it as a false. So user will not able to enter anything inside the employee ID field. Okay, so now what I have to do, I have to write the logic. Okay, so first thing, I'll get the table ID. So this is the table ID. I'll add the ID to this table as emp table. I'll copy, I'll go back to here, I'll write O table. Okay, so this is our O table. Okay, so I'll say O table dot get items. I'll not do anything. We can just debug the code. Okay, I'll do inspect. I'll open the source tab here. I'll open the app controller. Okay, so this is only the controller file we have added. So I'll put the debugger point on the line number 17. Okay, so I'll click on add employee. Okay, once that is done, so I'll copy this O table dot get items. Okay, so get items is a method. Okay, inside the get items I can see all the items which I'm having. Okay, so inside that I want to get the binding context. So in previous lecture we have already seen how to get a binding context, how to get a current record, right? So once you click on any one of the record, with the help of binding context we can get, because and that object we will in that object we will get the employee ID. So we will create one new array. So in that array we will push all these employee IDs, and from this employee IDs we will check whether which is a maximum one. Okay, and with the help of, if we get the maximum employee ID, after that we'll increment that maximum employee ID plus 1, and that we will bind it to the employee IDs inside the add employee dialog box. So now how the code I will write. So get items dot, as it is an array, so I'm getting the values of 5 records, right, inside the array. So I can use map function. Okay, inside the map function it takes the function. Okay, inside the function it takes the current item. So it will just act as a looping statement. Okay, so I'll create one array here, the emp okay. So now empr dot push. So what I have to push? I have to get first context from each item dot get binding context dot get object, okay, dot employee ID. Okay, so I'll tell you that how it works. Okay, let's say this is a 0th record. Okay, first we'll check for the zero item. So for the first item, okay, from the first item I want to get the actual data which this row is holding, like employee ID, employee name, gender and mail ID. So if you want to get the data from the first row, so for that you can write dot get binding context. Okay, as the model name is by default, because we have used the OData model which is by default, so we don't have to pass any model name inside this get binding context method. Okay, so after the get binding context dot, I can directly write get object. Okay, so once I do, I'm able to get the record. I'm able to get all the data right from the first row, like employee ID, F name, gender, L name, right? So that is how I generally do. Okay, so this is my way of working. So now what information I need? I need an information like employee ID. Okay, so if I want to access, so I can write get object dot emp ID. That's it. So you can see this value. So same code I'll write. I'll copy this. Sorry, from here I'll copy. I'll go back to the code. Okay, I'll paste it here. So once this loop is iterated, so from the 5 items, from these 5 items, it will push all the employee IDs into this array. Okay. So after that, once I'm able to get all the employee IDs into this array, then I will compare each and every item, and from that whichever is a maximum, so that from that I will just increment one value, and I will bind that value to this employee ID. Okay.
But sorry to interrupt. So we'll be having this detail set now. So why can't we use detail set? Because it has been already declared globally, right, as a model. So
right.
Why can't we use detail set instead of binding context?
No, why we cannot use the detail set? Because we want to get the data which is already available on this table. Okay, not from the detail set, because once you get the data from the detail set, you will generally get a undefined. That will not work. Okay.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yes.
So suppose 2-3 persons simultaneously accessing the same app.
Okay.
So what will happen in that case then? How will you be able to know that which is the later one? Because the other person might be entering. Okay, so I am also doing, but it might create a conflict, right? Because suppose if I am entering the 15, so the other person also getting that same employee.
Right. So maybe generally these things we generally handle from the backend itself, okay? But as of just for the learning purpose, I'm showing it from the front end side.
Okay.
Right, from the backend, if the record is getting created, you should append one value, right, as a auto incremented rather than
Yeah.
sending the employee ID.
Yeah.
But if there are multiple users and you want that at a time only one user must be updated, must update these values. So for that, maybe you can add one locking mechanisms. So that will lock that particular user, so no other user can access the record. That
So
sorry,
that will be done at the backend, or here also we can move in the
no. It can be only done in a backend, but in the backend you have to create one service. So that service will identify whether I have to I have to log this application or not. But from the front end, you can just pass the username and username, so that from that the backend person will get to know that this person is already logged this particular application. So nobody can access. We can just kind of display information. Okay, so that is fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I will do, so once this AEMP ARR, so this is the array, okay, so inside this array we have all the employee IDs. So from that I want to get a maximum employee ID. So for doing that, I'll write s max, sorry, it's a number, so I'll write n max emp id equal to, what I will write, I will write one method math dot max dot apply. Okay, so this is the standard JavaScript method which I am calling, and inside that first parameter I have to pass null, and then second as a employee ID. Okay, so from this I'll get a maximum. I'll directly pass that value to this object, and I'll add plus 1. Okay, so I'll reload, so I can I'll show you on the debug console, so how that will work. Okay, so now I'll add the debugger point here, and here I'll click on add employee. Okay, so once that is done, so let's say I'll add on the line number 19. So for the first item, so which is the first item, it is the first row, right, which is of item 0 from the EMP table. From the EMP 0, so I'm getting this employee ID. Which employee ID I'm getting? I'm getting the employee ID as a 8. Okay, so that 8 employee ID I have pushed inside this array. Okay, so same wise I'll do it for the all 5 rows. Okay, so once that is done, my array will be filled with all the values. Okay, so once I check, I'm getting all the employee IDs at 8, 9, 10, 12 and 14. Okay, so with the help of this SAP's it is a JavaScript standard method. With the help of math.max.apply, so it will get the maximum value from the array. Okay, so once I do, so in nmax emp id I'm getting the maximum as a 14. Okay, so this is the 14 that employee ID which I want as a maximum. And after that, what I've done, I've just from the max I've done addition plus 1. Okay, so this is the actual value as of 15, so I have stored that value inside this property employee, and after that I have binded this object to this emp add model. Okay, so I'll close this. Once that is open, once my dialog is open, I can see the employee ID as of 15. Okay, so it will be automatically come, so because we have already added the code, right, so that's why it's appearing. So already that data we have stored inside the model, and that model we have appended or binded to this dialog box, add employees dialog box, and we have just make sure that this is not a editable mode. Okay, so user cannot do anything inside this, so that's why I made it as a non-editable with the help of property editable equal to false. Okay, so now what I have to do, I have to add first name, last name, email ID and gender. We'll add the first name. So any name that you guys can suggest. Okay, I'll add Okay, I'll add email ID as okay. Now once I click on add, what should happen? I have to pass entire record. Okay, I have to pass the entire record as a payload to the post service. Okay, so which post service? So post service is already implemented by the Sumit, so we can access the same thing. So how to call the create now? How to call the create entity set of a backend with from the UI5. So for that, let me open the fragment. Okay, so this is the add, so this method will be called. Okay, so I'll declare this method. Okay, so I'll get the model first. This dot get view dot get model. Okay, so this is the model. So why I've declared this O model? Because this is this dot get view dot get model, because we have defined OData model as a by default, right? So that's why I'm getting this model and I'm not passing any model name here. Okay, so that OData model is the model which will help me to call the create method, create entity set. Okay, so I'll write O model dot create. Okay, so create is a method that I can call. So what create method will generally do? So this create will help me to create a record in the backend. Okay, so if I want to create a new record, so with the help of create method, so it will call the post service, and inside the post service, inside the parameters, we will pass the payload. So whichever the information the user is filled, so that information we will pass inside this method, inside this create method. Okay, so before passing, what I have to do? I have to first get the record, right? First I have to get the record. So I'll write EMP model, because all the record is stored inside the EMP add model, right? Because as this model supports two-way binding, so automatically whichever the data I've written, so automatically the data is stored inside the model with the help of two-way binding mode. Okay, so I don't have to define any ID to this each and every input field. So I don't have to access the each and every value with the help of ID. As we have binded the model to this add employer dialog box, so it generally by default the JSON model supports the two-way binding mode. So whichever the data I'm writing, whichever the value I'm entering inside this input field, so that value will automatically get updated inside the JSON model. So with the help of JSON model, I can access all the values and I can directly pass. Okay, so I'll access this model name, get model. So which model I have to get? This one, employee ID. Okay, so inside employee ID, I have to write get data. After the get model, we have the method get data, then dot employee, because inside the employee property we have all the object like employee ID, fname, lname, and email ID and gender. Okay, so now this is the main object. So inside the OEMP model, I'm having all this data. Okay, so I have to pass this data to this create method. So now, so generally this create method takes n number of properties. I'll open this SDK. I'll search for OData model. Okay, so which model we are using? We are using the model of version V2. So that's why I'll select this OData model here. Okay, I'll check for the create method. Okay, sorry, 1 minute guys. Okay, so this is the method create. Okay, so what this create method does, it triggers a post request to the OData service that was specified in the model constructor. Okay, so what it will do, it will help me to call the post service. And in the post service, what we generally need, it generally takes three parameters. First is the path. So on which service we have to update the record on detail set, right? So first we'll pass the path of detail set, and after that we'll pass the OData. So what is this OData? OData is nothing but it is the object that we will pass as a parameter. So what object will pass? We will pass this entire object, add employees. Okay, and after that m parameters. Inside the m parameters we have some n number of functions like success callback and error callback. Now let's say after the post call I just want to verify whether the creation of entry was done successful or not. So for that SAP has already provided with the two callback functions like success callback and error callback. And inside these methods, once the record is successfully created, so automatically the breakpoint will appear inside the success. Okay, automatically the response will come inside the success. Otherwise, if something is wrong with the payload, if something I've entered the wrong value, so this success will not be triggered. So automatically this error callback function will be called. Okay, not the success. So that's why the SAP has defined this success and error. Okay. So now what I will do, I will first pass the S path and after that OData. Okay, so this is my create method. Okay, I'll give first define the path. So what is the path? Detail set. Okay, and after the detail set, I have to pass the data. So OEMP model, it is the data. This variable is holding the entire object data, employee ID, FNAME, LNAME, email ID, and gender. And after that m parameter. What is m parameter? M parameter is the object. Okay, so what it is of type object. So that's why we have to define in an object format. Okay, so I have to declare opening and closing curly braces, and I'll hit enter. So next I'll declare the success callback. Okay, so this is the success callback. I'll give colon. So as this is a function, I have to write a function keyword. Okay, so then I have to declare this as a function, and after this function ending statement I'll give comma, and again I'll write it for error, because error is also one callback, right? This error. That's why I've written error. I'll give colon. I'll write function. Okay, that's it. So on success, so what I can display message that the record has been created successfully, right? So that type of message I can generally display inside the success. And what in case of error? What message we can give? Anything like unable to create a record, unable to add a record. So that kind of message we can display inside the error. Okay, so now OEMP model. So OEMP model is holding the data. First, it is the on which entity set we have to create a record. We have to create a record inside the detail set. Okay, so now let's do the thing. Okay, I'll save the code. So I'll write the message box code here. I'll declare one message box. SAP/m message box. Okay, so this is the message box. I have to pass this message box as a parameter. Save. I'll come back. Message box dot success. So our message will be appear in the green color. I'll say okay. So this is the message which I will display, and after that I'll make sure that this pop-up must be closed. Okay, because once the user clicks on the add, so if the record is getting added properly, so on success only I'll close this dialog box. Okay, so for that, which is the dialog box, so this is our dialog box. I'll copy, I'll write o dialog dot close. Okay, and in case of error, I'll copy, I'll say Okay, I'll save. So I'll make sure that rather than closing, I'll not do anything. Okay, I'll save. Now I'll reload this app. I'll save this name here. Okay, so now I'll click on add employee. I'll add first name as English, then email ID, and then gender as a male. Okay, now let's do some debugging. Okay, so I'll click on add now. Okay, so dialog I'm already having. So inside dialog I'm having the current dialog, and inside the EMP model, so whichever the data I've filled, whichever the information I've filled, so that's already there, like email ID, EMP ID, F name, and the gender. Okay, and after that last L name. Okay, so now I'll add the debugger point on the line number 43 and also on the line number 47. Okay, so we have added this object, and after that this is our the actual entity set where we want to create a new record. Okay, so once I execute, I can see directly I'm getting the response. So automatically my debugger stops at the line number 43. So what success callback function is triggered. Why? Because the creation of this particular entry was successful. That's why automatically this service, the success callback, was triggered rather than error callback. If there was issue with the payload, so rather than calling the success, the error callback function, it might be called. Okay, so I'll remove. Okay, so I'm able to display the success message as employee information added successfully. Okay, I'll click OK. So now you can see in the table at the last, so this record is added automatically, right? Ramesh Sonavne mail and ramesh.sonavne@outlook.com. Okay, so this is the record which we have added with the help of create entry, with the help of create method, and which is generally called on the OData model. Okay, you cannot call this create method on the JSON model. So this is the JSON model, right, which we have created. On this JSON model you cannot call the create method. So this create method is only applicable to the OData model. So by default this OData model was created as a default. So that's why on this OData model I have called the create method. Okay, and in the parameters I have passed the information like the entity set name, the actual object which I want to pass, and inside the object format the success and the error callback function I have declared. Okay, so any questions in this? What we have done?
So Abhi, so now we have added, right? So that we got added into that our database table. No, not yet, because we are doing in the container. So it didn't get back to that database table, right? In the SAP.
Sorry, I didn't get you, Mesh. Can you please?
I am saying that we are added, right? We are added one record. So it is in
right.
the now in the event container, right? It is going to be backend in the SAP system.
Right.
So if we have done only that, means we have just added but not sent it to the database.
Yes. Okay. So once I call the create method, what will happen? So whichever the record I passed, so I'll go back to the network call. So in network call you can see one $batch call. Okay, and inside the $batch, so this is the post call which I have done with the help of create. Okay, so this is the post call which I have triggered. Okay, and whatever the payload I have passed, you can find out in this object format. Okay, so this is what the payload I have passed. Employee ID is a 15. So this employee ID's value is in the integer, so that's why that value is getting passed as a 15. Okay, so this employee ID I am having as a 15, and rather all in the string format. So you have to make sure that whether employee ID it accepts the values in the string or the integer format, and that how you can do identify. You can identify with the help of metadata. Okay, so once you once you integrate any OData service, one local service folder, it is been created inside the folder, and inside that you can find out one metadata.xml, and inside this metadata you can find out this is the key property, okay, which is of employee ID, and you can also check it is of type int 32. Okay, that's why I have to pass the values in the integer or the number format, not in the string format. But for the rest properties, it's in the string format, so that's why I've passed the values in the double quotes. That's why you can see, right, fname, lname, email ID, all are in double quotes. But in case of employee ID, it's in the integer, right? So once this call is done, in the response I can check, I have to get a response as a 201 created. Then only this should be created. Otherwise, what will happen? Now let's say rather than passing the employee ID as a number, I will pass it as a integer. I will pass it as a string. So what I will do, I'll go back to this controller. Okay, so I'll write employee.empid. I'll copy this empid equal to so I'll make it as .toString. Okay, so now what I've done, I've inside this employee ID property, I've stored this value in the string format. Okay, so automatically this object will appear as in the string. So we'll check. Okay, I'm reloading it now. Okay, I'll click on add employee. I'll remove this debugger points. Okay, so now I'm getting the incremented value as a 16. So I'll add I'll make it as a gender male. Okay, so now I'll click on add. So once I done, so what I've done, I've made this employee ID in the string format. So now once you hover on this OEMP model, I can see the employee ID's values in the string format. Okay, so definitely now it should give me an error rather than doing the success call. Okay. Okay, so once I done, I can see instead of calling the success callback, it's calling the error callback. Why? Because there is some issue with the payload, that which I have passed. I will check this $batch. So I can check the payload. So in the payload, I can check employee ID value is in the string format. Okay. So as I'm not seeing any response because my debugger point is on the line number 48. That's why. So I'll remove this debugger point. So which method it's getting? It's calling as a unable to add employee information, because this is what the employee message we thought of displaying when something is wrong with the payload. Okay, so rather than success, I have to give as a warning or error because it is an error call. So now I'll go back to this network. I'll check in the $batch preview or response. I can see I'm getting the 400 bad request. Why? Because so as a UI5 developer, if you are getting the request after doing the post call, if you are getting the response as a 400 bad request, it means something is wrong with you. Okay, something is wrong with the post call. Okay, with the data that you are passing. Okay, so for more information, you can also check this error code. You can check fail to read property EMP ID. Okay, so it means that you have to cross check whether the value which you are passing in the employee ID it's correct or not. Okay, so that will help you, that will give you a hint to identify whether our EMP ID value is right or not. So as this EMP ID property only supports integer values, so it will not accept the values in the string format. Okay, so that's why I have to make sure that this whatever the values I pass to this employee ID, it must be as an integer rather than string. Okay. So are you getting this callback functions, success and error? Any questions in this?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have one question, maybe a dumb question.
Yes.
That JSON model is compulsory to create that empty structures to do all those these iterations
So,
or that
yes,
manipulations.
we have to definitely create an empty JSON structure. Why I'm doing it? Because what you have to do, otherwise you have to write n number of IDs, right? You have to declare ID for each and every input controller, and after that you have to write a lot of lines of code inside this controller,
Controller.
right? To get ID, get value, that kind of thing. So in order to avoid such code, if you want to minimize the code, you can directly declare one model
So
and
now,
just
this is only having a 4 to 5 IDs, so it is taking this much time. Suppose we are having 100, more than 10 to 20 records, then it will save time, right?
yes, it will definitely save the time. Otherwise this handle add employee code, maybe we have to add more 7 or 10 lines of code here.
For each
Each
element
property.
we need to add each property.
Right. So this is the better solution than this. Okay.
So can you sometimes show that as well in that if you get time?
Sorry.
If you get time, means you can show that method as well, how to do in that way as well.
Yes. So okay. So what I will do. Okay. So what I can do, I can directly comment this code out. Okay. I have to comment, and instead of this, I can directly comment this also. Okay. So I'll add the ID. Okay. Okay, so I have defined the IDs to each and every input field. Now, what I have to do, if I want to set the value, so first, because after dialog is open, then only I'm able to access. Okay, after the dialog is open, so I have to get as a this dot by ID, and which ID I have to get? This one, emp ID dot set value. Which value I have to set? Nmax emp ID. Okay. Now that is done. So after that, for getting all the values, what I have to do? I have to write each and every line of code. Like I have to declare emp id equal to, instead of set value, I have to write get value. Okay. So same I have to do it for all rest properties. Okay. So this is just a time consuming. So you can definitely save a lot of time rather than writing this code. KF name. Okay, so once this is done, So what I have to do? I have to create one object here, obj. Okay. So which all properties that I have defined, so same properties I have to declare here. Okay, but instead of that, I have to directly bind the variable names, f name, l name, then email ID, and then gender. Okay, so this is done. Now I can directly pass this object. Okay, so this is another way that you can do. So is this fine?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just comment it out this code. Okay, so now we have seen the create, okay, and how to call the data also, how to read the data from this detail set. Okay, so this we have done directly binding to this XML part, but there is also one other way to read the data. Okay, so if you want to read the data from this detail set, let's say now I don't want to bind the service like this to the detail set. So there is also one another way. So in the on init, I'll write one on init. Okay, inside the on init, I'll declare this O model, so which was the code which I have written. Okay, so this is my on init. Now let's do the read call. Okay, because the read is also the method which is supported by the OData model. Okay, because in some cases, now let's see, as of initially I don't want to display all the records inside the table. Okay, I want to load the data once I click on go button. Okay, like that. Let's say now if I want to select some filters, and based on that I have to pass some filters. Okay, so once I pass all the filters, then only my data must appear inside this table control. And before that, I don't want the data to be loaded inside this table. So for that case, we will not prefer this option, what we have already done, like detail set. Directly we have binded the entity set property inside the items. So you should not do this thing, because what will happen, instead of because this will automatically call your service, it will not stop. It will actually, once you load the app, automatically that service will be called. In order to avoid such kind of service call, you have to use this method, read method. Okay, so now we'll see how the read method is called. omodel.read. Okay, so this is the method which we have. So I'll search for the read method here.
Yeah, but Avik?
Yes.
Yeah, you were saying that we are not supposed to, I mean, the method would be like no displaying of data, and basing on the filters you will be displaying the data, right?
Yes. Means
yeah, but it would be the vice versa, right? You have all the data and then you have the filters, and then you can filter out the data. Is it not that way? Which is generally used?
No, I didn't get you, Gayatri. Can you please come up once again?
Yeah, you were saying that right now the data is getting displayed, right?
Right now the data is getting displayed, right?
Yeah, you said that it would be a blank screen with filters only.
Right. Once you select the filters,
only then the data will be displayed.
Yes. Once you select the filters.
But in real scenario, you would be having the data displayed, and then you will also have the filters where you can filter the data, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But in some cases only, for the sum requirement, what I'm saying, for let's say for the sum requirement, I just want to filter out the data. Okay, initially I don't want to display any data, but some in certain button click, then only my data should appear. So for that case, you should not do directly binding. That's normally what we have done for this table one. So directly automatically what is happening, the data is getting fetched, though I have not called the service, because we have used the Odata model as a by default. So as I've binded the detail set, the entity set, so that's why automatically a call is done in the backend.
Correct.
In order to avoid such kind of calls, you can call the read method.
Okay.
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 So now, this is the read method. It generally takes the two parameters. First is the path. That now let's say I have to read this detail set, so that's why I'll use the I will pass the path as a s path to this first parameter, to this read method, and after that I'm having the m parameter as an object. So inside the m parameter you can pass the filters, sorters, and we also have the success and error callback here. Okay, and you can also pass the URL parameters, like let's say you want to pass the expand, right? Let's say you have the service which is the expanded one, so that whichever the properties you want to read, so that you can pass inside the URL parameter as an expanded set. Okay, so now what I will do inside this read call, so first parameter what it is, it generally takes the path. So which path? I'll call it as a detail set. Okay, I'm just showing vice versa in both cases. On the view, generally you can do like this if you want to read the service, but if you want to read the data in the controller, so that you can generally do with the help of read method. Okay, so this is a detail set. After that, what is the second parameter it generally takes? It takes the second parameter as a parameters in the object format. Now, Sumit just told me that as of now the filtration is only applicable on the gender property. Okay, so that filtration is only done on gender. So I'll read the data which is only supports the gender as a male. Okay, so because we have only one record, that is selecting, which is of female, rest we will read all the data apart from the female. Okay, so now if I want to pass the filter, so what I will do, I can use the filters property. Inside that I have to pass in the array format. Okay, so I'll declare one O filter here. I'll declare sap.ui.model.filter. Okay, first parameter is the path, so gender is the property, right? So gender is a property, and then I have to pass equal to, and then the value. Okay, so value is, let's say I'm passing as a hard-coded male, or if you want I will only pass the female. Okay, make sure that this value is a case sensitive. Okay, and then I'll pass this O filter inside this filter. I'll give comma, and then I'll use the success, and in the response what it will return me, it will return all the service data. Okay, and after that in error, if anything error is there. Okay, so inside the console.log I'll display the O response. Give the comma. Okay, I'll save now. I'll reload. I think we'll check the error. Read of undefined. Okay. Okay, so now let's say on the button click, suppose I want to call any service. Okay, suppose I want to read some data, and after that I have to bind somewhere else. Okay, so for that, so on this call read service, I have called this data, this detail set service. Okay, so once I read this service in the success callback, I would get a data in response. Okay, I'll add the filter point here. I'll click on the call read service. Okay, so first is the detail set, it is the path, and next we have the m parameter. Inside that I've passed one filter. So filter, it is applied on the property gender. Okay, so this is the property, and what value I have passed as a female. Okay, so once I read this in the console, I can check in the response what I'm getting. In the response I'm getting as a results, and inside the results I'm getting the value as a female. Okay, so this is only the one record which I need as a filter. So as a filter I've passed as a gender. Okay, so if you want to read the service by passing the filters, you generally do with the help of this thing. Okay, just call the read method on the OData model. Any questions?
Avik, this can be done on the suppose if I am using some input field and I'm writing m, suppose m, so that on that also this omodel.read can be done, right?
Yes. On that also, let's say in the input field you have a 10,000, more than 10,000 records. Okay, and you don't want that all the records to be displayed at once, right? So in that case, what you can do, let's say if user is entering like FEM, is entering the 3 characters, and after that you can add one restriction. Maybe after entering the 3 characters, then only you can call the service, right? So that logic you can add with the help of this read form. You're
so
getting it, right?
I need to bind that input field to this field, right?
Yes. So after that, once you read the response, like in the response, what I'm getting the data in the results format, right? Inside the results, I'm having the data. And then this data, I have to bind it. I have to create one new model inside this success. And inside that JSON model, just pass this data. Okay? And once you pass this data, just bind the data to the control. That's it. Same way, this is in previous how we have done. We have created one object. After that, we have created one model, right? So this data, let's say suppose this is the data, and this data you bind it to this employee property, and after that you created a JSON model. Okay, and now once you have to bind this data, how you bind it? You binded this data to this emp fragment.xml, like employee model employee. This is the property, and after that the property name. Okay, in the same way you can do. Okay, so now we have seen the read in the 2 ways. That one in the XML that you can directly define the entity set name, but in the controller you have to, if you want to read the data, you can use the read method. Okay, and for creating the data, you can use the create method. Okay, so once the create is done, now let's see how to delete the record. Okay, after deleting we'll see how to update the record also. Okay, so now I'll comment this code, and also comment this code from here, the button. Okay, so now what I have to do, once I click on this delete, delete icon, a pop-up message should come that for the confirmation that are you sure you want to delete this record. Okay, and after the confirmation, if user is saying okay, then only you should delete this record, otherwise not. Okay, so now first we'll add one confirmation pop-up box, so that will give a confirmation to the user whether the user want to delete this record or not. Okay, so now what I have to do, I'll go back to this app.xml, and on this delete we have this method handle delete. Okay, I'll copy, I'll go down, I'll add the logic for it. Okay, so now inside that, so first I'll do what I'll do. So I'll open one confirmation pop-up. Okay, so I'll go to this samples. I'll write message box. Okay, so this is message box, and inside that we have confirm, like such kind of confirmation box we'll give. Okay, so we can use the custom also if you want to. I'll go to this code. Okay, so this is the code. I'll copy this code entire. I'll come here. Okay, and inside this message box, as we have already defined this message box. Okay, so I'll remove this one. Okay, so I'll give the warning message box, and inside that I'll define the message as okay. So this is the message which I will display once the user is clicking, and after that in the action, so this is the these are the two buttons which will be displayed. Okay, once let's now I'll go back here. Once you click on the confirm, so actions means the two buttons which I'm going to display, like OK and cancel. Okay, so that's why I've passed the two action buttons like OK and cancel, and after that this is not required. I'll remove this. And okay, and after that on close. So this on close method will trigger once I click any one of these buttons. Like if I'm clicking on OK also, still that on close method will be called. If I'm clicking on cancel also, still it will be called. Okay, inside the on close, I only want to check condition like if S action equal to, so it will always return me the button name like OK or cancel. Okay, in the text format. So I'll write OK. So if S action is OK, then only delete the record. Okay, otherwise nothing. Otherwise don't do anything. Okay, so now I'm saving. I'll reload. Okay, once I click on this delete, I can see one warning message like warning, are you sure you want to delete this record? Okay, if I'm pressing OK, then only I should be able to delete the record. Otherwise on cancel nothing should happen. Okay, so now so we'll check in the net source tab while debug. Okay, I'll add the debugger here. Okay, so once I click on OK, you can see in S action, what I'm getting as a OK. That's why I've checked the condition S action if triple equal to OK, then only the following condition it must execute, otherwise not. Okay, so inside this OK, I'll write some code now. Okay, so now I'll make sure that it's inside the function. So I'll add bind this if I want to access some variables from outside. Okay, so I'll copy this O model, I'll paste it here on top, and I'll write O model dot remove. Okay, so now I'll go back to the API reference. So this is the Odata model. Where is the Odata v2? Okay, so this is the Odata v2. I'll check for the remove method. Okay, so this is our remove method. Okay, so inside the remove, it generally takes two parameters. One is the sPath and then is the parameter. So sPath, how sPath we need to follow it, we need to pass the ID also, the employee ID, because as of now the employee ID, it is the unique, right? It is the key. So by passing the key value, means the backend, whatever the code, the logic we have written inside the OData service in the gateway server. So based on that, once we get the employee ID, we will remove the data, that particular record from the database table. Okay, and for that we need to pass the key as a employee ID. So employee ID, it is a key property for deleting the record. Okay, so now first, before the removing, okay, I'll do this thing like this. I'll give the comma, and in delete also we have the same properties like success and error. Okay, so I'll copy the same code from the top, success and error, and I'll paste inside that, inside the model.remove method, okay, as a parameter. If it is a success, then I'll say deleted, otherwise here, rather than that I'll write error. Okay, so I think I'm getting something, some error. O dialog, sorry, O dialog we don't need here. Okay, so now O model.remove, and inside that first parameter is the path. So what is the path? Detail set, give slash, and this is the path. Okay, but inside this path we have to follow, we have to pass the employee ID as a key, because for that employee ID the OData service will recognize that from the database table I have to record this employee information. Okay, so this is how I want to pass. So first I want to get the employee ID, right? So for getting the employee ID, I'll add one more declare here, NEMP ID, as it is a number. Okay, so I'll write O event, that's it. I'll save, I'll open this code. Okay, so now, so once I click on this delete, so what I have to get? I have to get this employee ID. Okay, I have to get 8 employee ID from this employee ID information. Okay, so how to get the employee ID information? Like from the O event, copy the O event, go back to the console, O event dot, just enter the O event. After that, check for the any, we have M parameters. No, in M parameters I cannot see anything. So O source, inside the O source maybe we can get the data from the binding context. So check for any binding context whether we have or not. Okay, we have a binding context. So inside this binding context I can see 8 number. So 8 is nothing but our employee ID. Okay, so generally to get the data from the current click row, we write code like get source. Okay, so this is the path. I don't want path. Okay, see, you can directly pass your path also, still it will work. Okay, now let's say I'll hit enter, I'll copy. Okay, so I'll write S path. Okay, so this is the path, and now I'll copy this path. Instead of hard coding this path like detail set, I'll remove, directly pass S path. That's it. Okay, so now I'll refresh. Now let's see. Now let's try to delete the record, maybe 9. Okay, we'll delete this record 9. Okay, I'll click on this delete icon. Okay, so I'll come here. Okay, so inside S path, what path we are getting? We are getting the path as detail set of 9, because 9 is the employee ID, right? So this is the key for that detail set. Okay, so now I'll hit I'll resume, and after that, once you press OK, what should happen? This should trigger, right? On OK, whatever the code, line of code we have added for that OK condition, that must get executed. Otherwise, if I'm clicking on cancel, nothing should happen. Okay, so as of now, nothing is happening when I press on cancel. But if I'm pressing on OK, now let's say I'll open. If I'm pressing on OK, so automatically my debugger is stopping at the line number 89, And what path I am passing? I'm passing the detail set of 9. Okay. So I'll resume. Once I done, I'm getting the response in the success callback function is triggered because what it means? It means the particular record is deleted successfully. Okay. So I'll display this message that employer record deleted successfully. Now, once you check the record, you can see the line number, the employee ID of value 9 is not visible on the screen. Okay, so this is how you generally delete the record by passing the key parameters in the service. Okay, any questions in this? Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Okay, so now, so for delete, what we have done, just revise, just do a slight revise now. So for the delete, first what I've taken care of, first I get the O model. Anyone wants to say anything? Okay, okay, fine. Okay, so first I have, I've got the reference of Odata model. So this is the instance for that Odata model. And after that, whichever the row item I have clicked, now let's say I've clicked this item. So on that item click, I'm able to get the employee ID as a S path with the help of this code oevent.getSource.getBinding context, and after that .getPath. Okay, so I have directly used, I've stored that path inside the S path variable. Okay, so based on the user's choice, whether he selects OK, then only I'm calling this O model instance dot remove method. Okay, so remove is generally used for deleting the record. Okay, if you want to delete some record, you can call the remove method. And inside the remove method, whichever the path I have stored inside the S path, I've directly passed. After that, I've defined the comma, and after that, in the object format, I've called success and error callback functions. Okay, if the record is properly getting deleted, then I can display this message. If not, then I can display this message. Okay, so this is for delete. Okay, so any questions in delete? Is this clear so far? Is this clear to all of you? Should I proceed with next operation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so now this handle delete we have done. Okay, so now we also done the creation part. Now let's see how to edit this record. Okay, now let's say if I want to edit this record. So for editing this record, what I can do? Okay, so once I click on this edit, we will open one pop-up, and inside that we will display all this data. Okay, so we will display all this data, and after that, if I'm doing anything, okay, inside that so on the click of update button, automatically that record must be updated. Okay, so for doing that, so first add record, sorry, not add. First we need to call the service. Okay, so this is the handle delete, right? So this method we have to call. Okay, so now what I will do, if I want to open one more fragment, so I think I have to create one more fragment, right? Because I have already created a fragment for add employee. So I'll create one more fragment for editing the employee. Okay, because once I click on this edit button, so that fragment will display all the information of that clicked row. So what I will do, I will copy this, and inside that I'll paste. Okay, so I'll remove all. I'll write only edit employee and then press OK. Okay, so in edit employee I'm having all the records. So instead of add dialog, I'll write edit. Okay, so this will also change to edit. Okay, so I'll remove all the IDs because that will throw a duplicate ID error. Okay, so everything is done. Okay, so instead of add, I'll write update handle update employee. Okay, so now so I have to open this dialog first. So we'll write some code for the dialog. Okay, I'll copy the same code which we have already written for opening the dialog. Okay, instead of add, I'll change it to the edit, and instead of add employee, I'll write edit employee. Okay, so now in the end, what I have to do, I have to open. Okay, so I'll keep this function as the same because we don't have to declare one more function for closing the edit, because on edit also as with the help of O event we are calling the get source. So get source is the actual button, and after that get parent. So that the parent of that button is the dialog, actual dialog. Okay, so this is the dialog which is acting as a parent for this button, for this cancel button. So that's why I've written the code, a dynamic code, so that same code will work for add and for edit dialog also. Okay, so this get parent is nothing but it is the actual dialog, and after that close. Okay, I'll save, I'll reload now. So I'll click on edit. Okay, so on click on edit, I'm able to get the information, right? I'm able to display the dialog, so with all the fields like employee ID, first name, last name, email ID, and gender. Now I'll make sure that employee ID is not editable. Okay, so now what I have to do, I have to bind the edited information, right? Whichever the row I clicked, so that row's information I have to display inside this pop-up. So for doing that, I'll go back. Okay, so same like what we have done for the add, we have created one model, right? So same model we'll create for edit also, but this time we'll do some slight change. Okay, so I will not pass this object, we don't need this object, and instead of emp add, I'll write emp edit. Okay, and inside that we'll pass entire object. Okay, so on click of O event, so this is our event, right? Okay, so I'll write O event, same like what we have done for delete. This code only I'll copy. Instead of path, I'll copy the object. I'll get the entire object. Okay, so this is the entire object, and that object I will store inside this employee emp edit model. Okay, once that is done, so I'll save. So now I'll go back to this edit employee fragment, and I'll change all the model name with the edit. Okay, so these properties are, everything is same. I'll save, and now I'll reload. Okay, I'll click on this. So now you can see automatically, so whichever the row I'm clicking, so I'm getting all the information like employee ID, the first name as Aman, last name as a Chavan, email ID whichever is declared, and the gender. Okay, so let's see if I want to open the 12th one. If I'm clicking edit, see, still I'm able to get all the information like 12, Akshay, Chavan, and all the things. Okay, so what code I've written, so I'll do the inspect, I'll show you guys. Cancel. Okay, so on edit, first I open the fragment. So this code I think you guys already know. Okay, so I will not explain this code. So but how I get the how I got the data from that clicked row. So that I will show you. So now let's say this 14 record, okay, so the employee ID of 14, I'm clicking on it, edit. So once I click on the edit, so with the help of oevent.getSource.getBindingContext.getObject, I'm getting all the object right, like email ID, EMP ID, Fname, gender and LName. Okay, so this is the record which I'm getting. Now, so inside this O context, I'm storing all the data, the clicked row data. Okay, so this is the data which I'm holding, which the O context field is holding. So now, as soon as my dialog is open, after that I'm creating a new model, and inside the new model, to this employee property, I'm passing this O context data. Okay, so once that is saved, so I have just defined the path inside the XML file like EMP edit models. This is the model name. After that, this sign and then the employee. So this is the property which holding the actual object, and inside that I'm accessing the properties like employee ID, Fname and LName. Okay. So are you guys getting it? Is this clear to all of you or not? You want me to explain it once again or how it is?
I think you can proceed.
Okay. Okay, so now on the edit, what we have done, we have opened, right? So I'm able to get the data whichever I've clicked on the edit icon. Okay, so now what I have to do, if I'm changing anything from these fields, so I have to make sure that the updated record must be it must get updated in the service also. Okay, not on the dialog box. So I have to pass all this data. I have to pass all this data to the SAP system. So once I pass all the data to the SAP system, then only it should get updated. So on click of this update button, so I will trigger one service. I will trigger one a put or a get service, not get service, a put or update service, and on that service I will pass all this data in a payload in an object format, and whichever the data I'm passing, that should get updated based on this key employee ID. Okay, so this employee ID is acting as a key. It is acting as a key for updating the data for that particular record. So what I will do, so I'll write a code for edit employee. Okay, so for update, so we'll call this method. So I'll give comma, I'll write function event. Okay, so now I'll get the model. O model. So after the O model, I'll write O model dot update. Okay, so update, it is a method. Update, it is a method for updating the record. Okay, so now which record I have to update? So I'll check for the update here. Where is the update? Okay, so this is the update method. So okay, so what it generally does, it triggers the put or the merge request to the OData service that was specified in the model constructor. And generally it takes the three parameters: the path, OData. OData means the object that we need to pass, updated object, and after that the parameters. So parameter is the same like success, error and the callback on. Okay, so now first I'll pass the path. So for delete, the way we got the path, so same I'll pass it here also. Okay, so that same path I will pass here. And after that, the second parameter, what we need to pass? We need to pass the object. Okay, so this updated object we need to pass. So for getting that object, so in which model I've defined? So I'll define. Okay, so this is the model, right? EMP edit model. So I'll copy this, and inside the set I'll write get delete dot get data dot inside the get data what we have employee dot employee. That's it. And this OEMP model actual object I'll pass it here. Okay, so once that is done, after that I will declare one object as an error and success callback. Okay, update it. Okay, I'll save. Okay, so now let's see whether I'm getting all the data or not, updated data. Okay, so we'll update this record number 15. Let's update this record 15. Okay, on 15, let's say instead of Outlook, I want to update it as a Gmail. Okay, so I'll inspect. I'll put the debugger points for the update method. Okay, I'll click on update. Okay, sorry, there was an issue with this. Okay, so now I'm not having the path, right? How can I get? Because this O event, it belongs to which event? It belongs to this dialogues event, this buttons event. Not it is not belonging to this event, the row clicked event. Okay, so that's why I will not get a get binding context dot get path. So in order to get the path, what I have to do? How do I get the path now? Any idea how to get the path? Okay, so let's see how I can get the path. Okay, so now let's say in S path I'm not having. Okay, in S path I'll remove this line, and after that I'll paste it here. Okay, I'll save. Okay, so now inside this EMP ID I'm having the record, right? But what I need in this, I need only employee ID, because employee ID is the important key information which I need. Rather the service name I already have, because the service name will not change, only the IDs will change. Okay, so inside double quotes I'll write detail set, and inside that, okay, I'll pass S path. Okay, but S paths what we need only employee ID. Sorry, this EMP ID. Dot EMP ID. Okay. No. Sorry, 1 minute, guys. OEMP model dot EMP ID. Okay. So now what I've done, I'll increase some size. Okay. So now first I have the instance of the Odata model, and then whichever the data which I have updated, like I have updated only the email ID, right, from the EMP model. So like what I have done, instead of Outlook I have updated it as a gmail.com. Okay, so now I'm able to get that updated information, right, like @gmail.com. So now in the S path what I only need ID, employee ID. Okay, so I've hard-coded this detail text, and after that this S path. So what path it will give me? As a detail set of 15. Okay, so this is how I need to pass if I want to update any record. as a detail set, and inside the rounded brackets I have to pass the key parameter name. Now let's say we only have one key parameter as an employee, but in future if any OData service where you can have n number of properties, n number of key properties, so that each and every property you need to pass, okay, inside this detail set, inside this detail rounded brackets. Okay, so now in our case only employee ID, it is a key property, so that's why I've passed the key property as an employee ID. Okay, so once that is done, I'll check. So what is the object? We are passing the updated object as the gmail.com, because only the email ID we have updated, rest all the data it is the same. Okay, now I'll send. Okay, so once in, so I'm able to update, because that's why the success callback is triggered. So once the record is updated, I will display the pop-up message. So okay, I'm having error, success is not a function. Okay, I have to bind this. And after that I'll close the dialog also. Okay, I'll reload now. For the Ramesh Sonone, you can see the record is already updated, but because of some code issue we are not able to get it. Sorry. Guys, can you please go on mute, because there is some slight background noise. Okay, so now what I will do, okay, I'll update this record 12th employee ID. I'll click on the edit. So based on whatever the code we have written, so I'm able to get the clicked record information as Akshay Chavan and all email ID and all. Okay, so I'll update. Okay, I'll update. Instead of this, I'll change it name as I'll change the name as Sandeep. Okay, I'll change this name to okay. So now I have updated the first name, last name and an email ID, and I'm keeping the gender as the same, and now I'll click on update. I think again there is an issue. We have only updated the data inside this console, but we haven't updated the actual code. Okay. Where is our EMP ID? Okay, so now it should work now. Okay, so you can see the record number 12, it's getting updated. Okay, so this is how you generally do the update operation. Okay, so for updating, just use the method as an update on the model instance and pass the three parameters, like the first is the actual path. The path must be a combination of the entity set name with the employee ID, with the key parameters, okay, with the key name. And after that, the second parameter, it takes the data, and the third parameter, which is in the object, you just declare the success and the error callback. Okay, and based on that, once the update is done, based on your preference, you can display the message if you want to. Okay, so any questions so far in the delete, create, update, and for reading the service also from the controller? Any questions, guys? Is this easy or it's going some hard? Is it hard for you guys or how it is? Hello?
Once actually we practice, then we'll come to it.
Yeah, we
Right,
need to practice.
right. Because
Actually, now it is actually going. Actually, we have taken a lot of topics today. So
no, only we covered the CRUD operation.
Yeah.
Again, we have one expanded entity call also. That is one topic which is remaining. But don't worry on that. We'll cover that thing in tomorrow's session with the navigation. Okay, like how to read the expanded entity data from the service. But so far it is clear, right? How to pass the filters, how to create the data, how to read the data, and how to update the data, and how to delete also. Okay, so this thing completely needs a practice, because on practice only, because there are so many code that we have written, and it's just a part of practice only. You have to buy out this code. That only how it will work. Otherwise, after a few days, you will definitely forget all these things. Because for update and delete, there is some slight change in the path. But for creating and for reading, so there is no change at all.
So, suppose as you said, like suppose we have multiple, the parameters coming from. Suppose here now only as the employee ID, right? So directly you have passed the S path. Okay. Suppose I have a 3 parameters. Then in that case, I need to create this S path and need to pass like that, comma, this data cell S path, comma, then S path 1,
Right.
comma, S path 2, like that.
Right. Yes, right. We don't have such kind of service, but at least I will tomorrow I will show you the actual syntax. Okay, how we generally pass in case of multiple parameters. Okay, I'll check in the SAP system whether we have such service where the multiple key parameters are passed. I'll check. Okay. But so far whatever we have discussed today, so all these things are clear to all of you, or how it is? But I know it's somewhat hard to all of you, because it's a code only. It's a technical code, and so maybe do one thing, guys. So utilize your time properly today and tomorrow, and just try to practice.
This is the way, right? This is the way actual code is done. Means maybe some slightly changes based on the requirement.
Right. for reading, for updating in the daily activities. As of now, me also in my project also, I generally use the same methods for update, for delete, and for anything. If you want to manipulate any the service data, so that you can do with the help of these methods only. These are only the common methods you generally use in the application. Okay, only there's some slight change, whether it depends on the backend person how he implements the service, right? Because what I've seen for now, let's say for this update and for delete also, okay, for update and for delete also, we have used the method like update and update and the remove method. But some auditor service, for some backend person, how they implement in such a way that every time you need to do the post call, every time you need to do the create, you need to call the method create. So based on that, the backend person will identify whether he wants to based on some flags, whether he want to delete or whether he want to update the record. Okay, but if the OData service is implemented in the proper structure, then every time for the delete or update, you need to call these methods only. For deleting, remove, for updating, update, and for creating, create. Okay. Okay, so guys, today's assignment is to create one table. Okay, and you can utilize the same service. I'll forward all these service details also with you. Okay, I have Sumit forwarded me this service detail file, so I will forward this file with you also, so you can cross check once. Okay, you can go through the files and you can just do one thing. Just first bind the data by calling the service, and after that try to perform the edit, delete, and the addition operation. Okay, perform all these things. So this is the basic task for today. And for tomorrow, what we will do? For tomorrow, we will check for the routing and navigation concept. Okay, and in that we will see, in the routing and navigation concept, we will see how to pass the click data, how to pass this click data from first view to next view. Okay, so that we will see, and we will also try to see that how to read the data from the expanded entities. Okay. So you want me to share this project folder, or you can go through the video?
No, no, Avik, you can share because it will be helpful.
Yeah, please share the code as well.
So at the end of the session, at the end of the course, we will be sharing each and every model, right? And they will change it. For reference purpose.
Okay, for reference purpose, we have some documents also. I'll share the documents also with you. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. With the documents, means it's just a normal. In every document, we have taken one common example, and that with the help of that example, we have done some. We have written some code, and that only captured inside the document. So you can go through it. But that document is created completely on the BS. So that is a different tool, but whatever the tool like the Business Application Studio and the way we write the code inside the Web ID Personal Edition, it's completely same. Nothing change we have to do. The code is same. Only the flavor is different, like using this Web ID tool and using the Business Application Studio. Okay, so is it fine, guys? So should we stop this session for today? Yeah. Okay. So I'll share this recorded video and this project folder also with you, so you can go through the code, and so you can also check the commented code. Okay. So it's for the second option. Okay. Thank you, everyone, guys, and please ping me if you need any help. Okay, in the group or personally also. That would also be fine.
Yeah, fine, Avik. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good.